Fear is perhaps humanity's oldest companion, and no fear is deeper or more enduring than our fear of what we do not, and perhaps cannot, understand. Since the dawn of human existence, uncertainty has haunted our every step. Early humans lived at the mercy of the unpredictable forces surrounding them, forces they couldn't comprehend, bringing either fortune or disaster seemingly at random. The ancient Greeks turned these unknowable elements into powerful deities, beings who controlled every aspect of life and fate. They worshipped them fervently, convinced that the gods' displeasure could lead to devastating punishment. But gradually, humanity began searching for answers rooted not in divine moods, but in observable reality, marking the birth of the first philosophers, whom today we recognize as scientists. Although science has illuminated countless mysteries, it has also expanded the borders of the unknown, showing us clearly how little we still grasp of the universe's endless expanses. At the heart of confronting this cosmic unknown lies the American writer Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Born in 1890, Lovecraft radically redefined fear by situating it beyond the familiar supernatural territory into uncharted cosmic realms. His terror emanates from the unbounded, unsettling void of space and the chilling possibilities hidden among distant stars. In his stories, profound feelings of alienation, insignificance, dread, and existential madness dominate, each echoing directly from the writer's own life experiences. To truly grasp Lovecraft's vision, it becomes essential to first delve into the story of the man himself. Lovecraft was deeply anxious and withdrawn as a child, often plagued by illnesses that many now believe were rooted more in psychology than physiology. At just 3 years old, his father, Winfield Scott Lovecraft, suffered a psychotic breakdown and was institutionalized, dying shortly thereafter from syphilis. Lovecraft's mother, Sarah Susan Phillips Lovecraft, became obsessively protective, never allowing her fragile son out of her watchful presence. His maternal grandfather, Whipple Van Buren Phillips, stepped into the void left by his father's tragic absence, guiding young Howard into the comforting world of literature, poetry, and fantastical tales. Ironically, he even aided Lovecraft in confronting his crippling fear of darkness, becoming the stable center of the boy's otherwise turbulent existence. Lovecraft showed extraordinary intellectual gifts from an early age, reciting poetry by 2, reading fluently at 3, and writing coherent stories before he reached 7. His youth was spent buried in the sanctuary of books, his private library becoming his refuge from the harsh realities around him. The loss of his grandmother, Roby, profoundly scarred Lovecraft and sent his family spiraling into lasting melancholy. His mother and aunts perpetually draped themselves in black to mourn her death, creating an atmosphere of permanent mourning. It was during this sorrowful time that Lovecraft began experiencing terrifying dreams of creatures he later called night gaunts, winged monstrosities that seized him, whisking him through infinite realms of darkness and desolation, finally releasing him over alien landscapes filled with jagged peaks and unimaginable despair. He would awaken screaming, forever haunted by visions that would later creep into his literary creations. Following his grandfather's death, Lovecraft and his mother were forced from their comfortable Victorian estate into significantly humbler surroundings, a move Lovecraft described as among the bleakest chapters of his existence. Life, at this dark crossroads, seemed devoid of meaning. The temptation of suicide emerged as an unsettling presence within him. Yet, even in that profound despair, his insatiable hunger for knowledge, his relentless curiosity about all that lay beyond human understanding, held him back, tethering him to life. Around the age of 8, Lovecraft found a new solace: science. Initially fascinated by chemistry, he soon discovered astronomy, a discipline that profoundly shaped his creative imagination, planting within him an acute awareness of the universe's infinite magnitude and humanity's trivial place within it. This cosmic revelation would resonate powerfully throughout his future works. In school, Lovecraft excelled effortlessly in every subject except mathematics, which persistently eluded his grasp. Eventually, in 1908, overwhelmed by nervous exhaustion, he withdrew from formal education altogether, electing instead a lifelong pursuit of self-directed study and solitary learning. His relationship with his mother became deeply troubled, marked by extremes of affection and resentment. She frequently belittled him, openly describing him as grotesque, a figure best hidden from public view. Lovecraft internalized these cruel judgments, reportedly covering his face as he walked along city streets, anxious to remain unseen and invisible to others' scrutiny. A turning point arrived when he was invited into a circle of amateur journalists. Among these newfound peers, people whose minds reflected his own, Lovecraft felt, perhaps for the first time, genuine belonging. He poured his heart into extensive correspondences, ultimately becoming one of the era's most tireless letter writers. It's estimated he authored over 100,000 letters, each filled with insights that illuminate not only his thoughts, but also his deeply held beliefs and internal struggles. In 1921, Lovecraft's fragile stability again shattered when his mother suffered a psychological breakdown and was institutionalized in the very same asylum where his father had died decades earlier. Her subsequent death following surgical complications plunged Lovecraft into another cycle of despair, again tempting him toward the abyss of suicide. Yet once more he emerged, eventually finding companionship in Sonia Green, who became his wife. Their marriage soon led them to New York City, where financial instability and Sonia's constant professional obligations strained their relationship beyond endurance. Lovecraft was profoundly unsettled by New York, feeling utterly displaced within the sprawling metropolis, his sense of alienation heightened by the city's diverse immigrant populations. His detachment and isolation in that unfamiliar urban landscape deeply influenced the oppressive, alien atmospheres that permeate his fiction. Indeed, Lovecraft's personal prejudices, his xenophobia and racial biases, reflected common attitudes of his era, attitudes now rightfully subject to criticism and controversy. It's important, however, to view these troubling aspects within their historical context, without diminishing the complexities of his literary legacy. In 1926, Lovecraft finally returned to Providence, Rhode Island, the place closest to his heart, where he would reside until the end of his life. In a rare moment of personal pride, he famously declared, "I am Providence." His life there was far from comfortable, remaining trapped on the edge of poverty. Most of his literary masterpieces found their way into inexpensive pulp magazines, hidden from wider public view, leaving him largely unknown and undervalued in his own lifetime. As years passed, Lovecraft's physical health declined sharply. Crippling pain eventually robbed him even of the ability to hold a pen. When he finally sought medical help, the diagnosis was grim. The cancer had already invaded his intestines. From then until his death in 1937, he endured constant, excruciating pain. Tragically, he likely departed believing his literary legacy would simply vanish, forgotten, into the void. Yet, in retrospect, Lovecraft's difficult existence, a life battered by trauma, isolation, and pain, could easily have ended in total obscurity. But instead of yielding to darkness, he transmuted his anguish into literature, driven not by despair, but by an insatiable desire to articulate the terror and wonder he felt towards the universe. Fortunately, those who cherished his work ensured it survived. Today, Howard Phillips Lovecraft is revered as one of history's most extraordinary writers of weird fiction. Uniquely, Lovecraft's stories seldom revolve around the intricacies of human characters. Instead, his narratives are rooted in something far more profound and unsettling: the reactions of ordinary people facing phenomena so alien, so disturbingly unfathomable, they shatter the foundations of sanity. The grim honesty within Lovecraft's writings strikes readers with rare force, shaking their perceptions and resonating long after the final page has turned. Indeed, Lovecraft fundamentally transformed the very source of horror. He moved beyond familiar terrors, ghosts, demons, and vampires, into deeper and darker realms, into boundless voids stretching far beyond ordinary conceptions of space and time. Inspired by astronomy from a young age, he saw clearly how insignificant humanity truly was when placed against the backdrop of the infinite cosmos. Our world, our civilizations, our knowledge and beliefs, all pale and vanish in the face of cosmic indifference. At the core of Lovecraft's work lies an abiding dread of the unknown and the unknowable, a terror provoked when confronted by phenomena far exceeding human understanding. He called this vision Cosmicism, a philosophy rejecting the comforting delusion that humanity holds a meaningful position in the universe. Unlike philosophies centering humanity's importance and reassuring our self-worth, Cosmicism offers no comfort. Instead, it plunges us headlong into a chilling existential truth that, within the infinite, humanity is utterly meaningless. Lovecraft rejected any comforting answers about life's purpose, believing it wiser and safer to leave such profound mysteries unresolved. Cosmicism pushes existential dread to extremes, confronting us brutally with the vast, indifferent universe and our trivial, accidental place within it. To Lovecraft, reality itself is cold, indifferent, and alien, rendering human concerns insignificant in the face of the cosmos. He memorably described humanity as pathetic inhabitants clinging helplessly to a speck of dust on the doorstep of a universe far beyond our grasp. Lovecraft depicted humanity as mere insects, lost and helplessly wandering within an endless, indifferent universe, small creatures overwhelmed by the enormity of cosmic emptiness. Such a revelation shakes the very foundation of our collective self-worth. After countless generations spent sheltered in comforting darkness, turning toward the harsh illumination of truth forces us to recognize that we share existence with far older, far stranger beings. He was convinced that human understanding has limits, beyond which lies madness. As he famously wrote, "The most merciful thing in the world, I believe, is that the human mind cannot piece together all it perceives. We dwell safely upon an isolated island of ignorance, surrounded by endless dark oceans of infinity, and perhaps it is best we never sail too far from our shores. While each branch of science strives forward individually, so far they have spared us. But one day, assembling our scattered bits of knowledge will open gateways to truths so terrifying and reveal humanity's fragile place in the cosmos so starkly that we shall either descend into insanity from the revelation or retreat from the blinding truth into the comforting embrace of a new dark age." For Lovecraft, scientific inquiry held a paradoxical quality. It was simultaneously magnificent and terrifying. Rather than ushering humanity into an age of enlightened wisdom, scientific progress risked exposing us to revelations capable of annihilating our fragile minds. Knowledge itself becomes an existential threat, a self-destructive contagion. Peering deeply into humanity's true position within the cold expanse of the cosmos inevitably leads to encountering entities and phenomena that defy comprehension, driving us toward insanity and oblivion. In his renowned tale, The Color Out of Space, Lovecraft perfectly captured this destructive collision between humanity and cosmic forces. A meteor crashes to Earth, emanating an indescribable hue, something so alien and incomprehensible that the villagers could only feebly call it a color. This entity from beyond the stars defies understanding, remaining utterly foreign and inscrutable even as it poisons and destroys everything it touches. One by one, people are driven mad or succumb to decay, helpless against an unknown force whose nature science utterly fails to explain. Lovecraft's mastery lay in crafting an atmosphere of profound alienation, achieved by deliberately placing readers into territories profoundly unfamiliar and unsettling. His cosmic terror does not merely frighten, it disorients, leaving readers stranded in landscapes designed specifically to confront the limitations of human imagination. Yet, Cosmicism encompasses far more than fear of distant cosmic reaches. Within Lovecraft's stories, threats from the unknown dwell not just in outer space, but hidden within Earth's shadowy depths, beneath ocean waves, and in remote lands untouched by civilization. He expanded this dread further still into the limitless realms of human dreams. These eerie and unnatural realms are woven into the fabric of what later generations named the Cthulhu mythos. Although Lovecraft himself did not coin the term, he provided its haunting foundations. Cthulhu itself was intentionally crafted as a word beyond human speech, without a truly correct pronunciation, though Lovecraft once suggested it sounded something like Cthulhu. Unlike conventional monsters that actively seek to harm or frighten humanity, Lovecraft's cosmic beings embody a chilling indifference toward us. Our very existence is incidental to them. Mere coincidence rather than intention defines any interaction we share. These beings are not consciously cruel. Rather, their vast disregard intensifies our profound isolation. Their indifference a cold reminder that humanity occupies a meaningless place within a far larger, alien universe. They are symbols of absolute otherness, existing beyond the narrow boundaries of our understanding. The true terror arises from the unsettling realization that human morality, human passions, our cherished laws and ethics, none have any meaning or authority in the larger cosmic reality. Lovecraft's entities are not malevolent in any traditional sense. They simply exist in a realm utterly divorced from human notions of good and evil, a realm of infinite possibilities inaccessible to the fragile human mind. They represent what Lovecraft termed the purest externality. He eloquently states, "To truly comprehend external reality, whether in terms of space, time, or alternate dimensions, one must first discard the illusion that organic life, morality, love, hate, or any transient qualities attributed to humanity have any meaningful existence whatsoever." The body of lore known as the Cthulhu mythos deliberately avoids completeness, hinting instead at mysteries we were never meant to fully grasp. Within this haunting mythology, Lovecraft introduces several categories of cosmic entities: elder things, great old ones, deep ones, and outer gods. The true horror is not merely encountering these beings, but simply the awareness of their existence, an awareness that they arrived from distant stars long before humanity emerged. The elder things were the earliest alien colonizers of Earth, arriving roughly 1 billion years ago. They created Shoggoths, massive shape-shifting blobs of protoplasmic matter capable of manifesting countless forms and organs at will. Initially servants who built sprawling alien cities, the Shoggoths eventually rebelled against their creators. Ancient ruins of these once grand civilizations lie buried beneath Antarctic ice, with elder things occasionally discovered frozen or fossilized, waiting silently through the ages. At the Mountains of Madness, explorers venturing into Antarctica encounter the nightmare reality of the Shoggoths directly. An unspeakable, shapeless mass larger than any earthly vehicle surged toward us. A quivering tide of translucent protoplasm covered in countless eyes, bubbling and dissolving back into itself. It devoured the panicked penguins as it advanced. Sliding horrifically across the glacial surface it had methodically cleared of debris. Then there are the Great Old Ones, entities once revered as gods and rulers who now lie dormant, imprisoned indefinitely in hidden places around our world. Among these semi-divine horrors is Cthulhu himself, a titanic being of immense psychic influence, trapped in an eternal slumber beneath oceanic depths. His form blends distorted humanoid features with the tentacled visage of an octopus, one of Earth's most disturbingly alien creatures. Lovecraft emphasizes humanity's helplessness in grasping such abominations. Words utterly fail when confronted by this thing. No human tongue can articulate the madness, the shrieking contradictions of matter and cosmic order. It was as if a mountain itself had awakened, lurched, and begun to walk, The name Cthulhu itself evokes the ancient Greek term chthonic, meaning of the underworld, suggesting an entity dwelling beneath our conscious understanding. He sleeps eternally within the submerged city of Relaya, hidden deep in Earth's oceans, resting but immortal, dreaming yet aware, a paradox suspended between life and death. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die. These cryptic lines illuminate the sheer magnitude of Cthulhu's existence. So vast, timeless, and alien, it renders even death meaningless. Though the great old ones, under his influence, appear dead, they have merely slipped into an unending sleep, communicating with humans subtly, through dreams, influencing the collective unconscious. Cthulhu represents humanity's unspoken, existential dread, a primal anxiety that quietly haunts our subconscious minds. Across the globe, secret cults chant fervent prayers to the sleeping deity, repeating the ominous mantra. In his house at Relaya, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming. They believe that when the stars realign in a distant cosmic configuration, the sunken city of Relaya will ascend from the ocean depths. With assistance from these devoted followers, the great old ones will awaken, reclaiming dominion over Earth. Ironically, the worshippers pray for their own doom, oblivious to the reality that the old ones transcend conventional morality. Any perceived evil is merely humanity's futile attempt to rationalize forces beyond comprehension. In Lovecraft's renowned tale The Call of Cthulhu, the protagonist's pursuit of knowledge drives him deeper into madness upon uncovering the chilling truth behind these ancient beings. Haunted and forever changed, he confesses in horror, "Never again shall I know peace," now fully aware of the terrors forever lurking just beyond the thin veil of reality, outside all dimensions of space and time. Lovecraft further enriches his mythos in the shadow over Innsmouth, introducing the Deep Ones, amphibious humanoids residing beneath oceanic depths, intrinsically bound to Cthulhu. These creatures possess an unsettling tendency to mate with humans, perpetuating their eerie lineage. They worship Dagon, an ancient deity among the Deep Ones, who embodies terrifying primordial power. Yet, transcending even these formidable beings are the outer gods, entities existing far beyond Earth's physical plane, inhabiting distant cosmic voids. Prominent among them are Yog-Sothoth, Shub-Niggurath, Nyarlathotep, and the supreme entity, Azathoth. These gods dwell beyond a threshold Lovecraft described as an ultimate gateway leading perilously toward the absolute void existing beyond all known worlds, beyond space, time, and matter. This ultimate gate can only be opened by an artifact known as the Silver Key, a relic that grants passage through space-time, providing access to all conceivable realities and alternate lifetimes. Yog-Sothoth, guardian and personification of this gate, embodies the merging of all temporal and spatial boundaries. Yog-Sothoth knows the gate. Yog-Sothoth is the gate. Yog-Sothoth is the key and guardian of the gate. In him, past, present, and future converge as one. Those who worship Yog-Sothoth desperately pursue forbidden wisdom, but this knowledge inevitably drives seekers to madness, as it reveals places no human mind was ever meant to encounter. Lovecraft depicts Shub-Niggurath as the enigmatic partner of Yog-Sothoth, describing her only in obscure and unsettling terms, an ominous presence resembling a nightmarish, sentient cloud. Beyond this, she remains utterly incomprehensible, fittingly named the one whose name must not be uttered, embodying absolute mystery itself. While most outer gods remain distant, exiled eternally among the stars, there is Nyarlathotep, the lone deity who frequently intervenes on Earth, adopting countless human guises. Nyarlathotep serves as an intermediary, connecting humanity with cosmic entities whose existence defies our comprehension. Known as the crawling chaos, he is the ultimate trickster, endlessly changing forms, deliberately manipulative and cruel. His unsettling presence serves as a perpetual reminder of the forbidden truths that lurk just beyond our limited senses. Above all these beings stands Azathoth, the supreme creator of existence itself. Yet Azathoth is paradoxically depicted as blind, mindless, and unaware, despite his omnipotent power. Lovecraft calls him the blind idiot god, eternally dreaming, unconscious of the universe he has inadvertently birthed. Reality, as we understand it, exists solely within the fevered dreams of Azathoth. Lesser gods tirelessly play eerie, chaotic melodies upon drums and flutes, keeping him submerged in perpetual slumber. For should Azathoth ever awaken, existence itself would vanish instantly, returning all things to a void of chaotic nothingness. Azathoth symbolizes pure cosmic disorder, impossible to destroy, for destruction itself is merely an idea born within his restless dream. Though these gods rarely take center stage directly in Lovecraft's narratives, their subtle, persistent influence is ever present. Their shadowy existence lurking in the background of his stories deepens the atmosphere of cosmic horror, emphasizing humanity's insignificance. Lovecraft further heightens this existential dread through his fascination with strange geometries and otherworldly landscapes that defy natural laws. He writes vividly about non-Euclidean geometry, bizarre forms and spaces existing impossibly outside human logic, realms of nightmares and impossible dimensions. The geometry of the dreamscape appeared perverse and unnatural, surfaces and spheres existing impossibly, violating all known laws of reality. Lovecraft intuitively grasped how beings from higher dimensions might appear utterly alien to our senses. It's akin to how a two-dimensional creature might perceive a three-dimensional human hand, a nightmarish apparition flickering suddenly in and out of view, unrecognizably distorted and alien. Similarly, Lovecraft's cosmic horrors materialize in forms our minds cannot fully interpret, constructed of something beyond mere physical matter. He describes these alien entities and their environments in a way that profoundly unsettles human perception, capturing their terrifying strangeness vividly. Every object, organic or inorganic, defied description or rational comprehension. They appeared as shifting clusters of crystalline labyrinths, towering cubes, impossibly arranged planes, and monumental architectures. Living forms emerged as pulsating masses resembling bubbles, crawling octopi, writhing centipedes, grotesque idols animated by unknown forces, and serpentine arabesques twisted into monstrous motion. All were profoundly hostile, exuding a palpable, soul-shaking dread. The instant these living shapes seemed to notice him, an overwhelming horror seized him awake. Moreover, these cosmic entities had the terrifying ability to abruptly manifest from nowhere and vanish equally suddenly, defying our understanding of space and time. Lovecraft's universe defies depiction. His horrors exist just beyond the edge of perception, evading full comprehension. They are not meant to be seen, not because they hide, but because our minds cannot wrap around them. If these entities ever did turn their attention toward us, we'd be helpless, powerless. They do not obey our physics, nor are they limited by our senses. They could be watching now, always present, yet unseen, unreachable, yet all-consuming. And if one were to pierce through into our dimension, if only for a moment, it could annihilate us without hesitation, without meaning, and without leaving a trace. That is true cosmic horror. To witness the forbidden and realize that everything you thought was solid is just thin ice over a bottomless void. When the natural laws collapse, when space and time become unfamiliar, and the impossible becomes real, language fails. All that remains is a raw, primal emotion, terror. Because when we don't know, we invent. We build gods, craft stories, imagine afterlives. Anything to silence the emptiness. But Lovecraft's characters often dare to look too closely. They chase answers. They unravel the veil. and what they find breaks them. The price of knowledge is sanity. No object in Lovecraft's world embodies this more than the dreaded Necronomicon, penned by the infamous madman Abdul Alhazard. This cursed tome offers glimpses into a reality not meant for human minds. Those who read it often meet violent ends or worse. Madness, knowing the truth but being powerless against it. Still, the temptation persists. There is something tragically human about pursuing knowledge, even when we know it could destroy us. Like the way a terminal diagnosis shatters the illusion of safety, the knowledge doesn't change what is, but once it's known, the world is never the same again. There is no going back, no return to innocence. Dreams fascinated Lovecraft endlessly. Many of his most surreal and haunting tales were born from his own dreams, visions unshackled by the waking world. In his mythos, dreams become portals, the unconscious and infinite ocean. The dreamlands are his symbolic threshold to the unknown, a realm vast, fantastical, and terrifying. They reveal truths the waking world can't hold. This dimension of dream is collective. Each soul drifts in their own visions, yet all dreams are connected, woven into a deeper landscape that echoes with forgotten truths. In the dream quest of unknown Cthulhu, one of Lovecraft's most significant works, this dream world is mapped out, showing just how limitless and perilous the imagination can be. His stories unravel the reader's assumptions. They chip away at the scaffolding of reality until we're left dangling in the unknown. And those characters who resist, who fight to preserve their fragile sense of identity, they are the ones who fall first. In Lovecraft's philosophy, to know the truth is to lose yourself. The idea of otherness, that unsettling awareness of what is not us, is central to Lovecraft's philosophical design. To confront the other is to question the boundaries of the self. But in Lovecraft's universe, the self and the other must not just coexist. They must merge. In Through the Gate of the Silver Key, Randolph Carter comes into possession of the mysterious Silver Key, a talisman that allows him to transcend time and self. As he steps through the ultimate gate, reality begins to fracture. He sees not just his past or future lives, but infinite variations of himself scattered across all eras of Earth's history. Each decision, each moment has splintered into a new identity. Every Carter is him, yet none are fully the same. What emerges is the collapse of singularity. The self, once believed to be a fixed point, becomes a fluid constellation. To acknowledge the other, then, is not alien, it is necessary. Philosopher Gilles Deleuze explored this unraveling of the ego through what he called a shift from paranoia to schizomadness. Paranoia clings to the illusion of control, of maintaining identity by rejecting the unfamiliar. Schizomadness, on the other hand, is the liberation of self through dissolution. It welcomes multiplicity and opens the unconscious to forces greater than the ego. This echoes Carl Jung's path of individuation, where one must embrace the shadow, the unconscious, and everything the ego denies. But that journey is terrifying because it demands surrender. One must relinquish the fantasy of control and accept that they are not the sole occupant of their own psyche. To read Lovecraft is to undergo a subtle transformation. His words act as a mirror, not one of comfort, but of distortion. As we peer into the abyss, we don't just see monsters, we see ourselves. And in that recognition, in that embrace of otherness, lies the most necessary horror of all: the courage to change. Nowhere is this clearer than in The Outsider, a tale of haunting solitude. A man, long isolated in a crumbling castle, bereft of any memory of others, finally climbs its tower to find the world beyond. He passes through a high window and enters a brightly lit room, only to see its guests recoil in unspeakable fear. He flees in confusion, horrified by an unseen presence, until he catches sight of something in a mirror. "I know always that I am an outsider," a stranger in this century and among those who are still men. This I have known ever since I stretched out my fingers to the abomination within that great gilded frame. Stretched out my fingers and touched a cold and unyielding surface of polished glass. The monster had always been him. If this journey into the cosmic unknown stirred something within you, some awe, some dread, some strange fascination, don't let it fade into the void. Like this video to let us know you want more. Subscribe to join us on future explorations into the dark, the mysterious, and the unseen. And if you know someone who would dare to peer into the abyss with you, share this video with them. The cosmos is vast, but the curious always find each other.